All right, well, I think we can go ahead and get started. So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Becca Rabin, and I work for the City of San Francisco Department of the Environment. I'm really glad that you could join this webinar. We have some really incredible resources available to us from our local government to help make our homes more healthy and comfortable. And these are, of course, especially useful when all of us are still spending so much time at home. Just some quick housekeeping. You can put your questions into the Q&A box in the toolbar, and they'll be answered either in the Q&A box or we'll get to them at the end. We're recording this webinar and we'll share the recording afterwards if you registered for the workshop. And today you'll get to hear from a home energy advisor, one of the free experts available to support you with the Home Plus program. You'll also get to hear from one of our participating contractors, David Hamburger, as well as a homeowner who's participated in the program. I will now hand things off to Kim, who's one of our energy advisors. Kim, please take it away.
Hi, everyone. I'm an energy advisor with BayREN, and we're going to talk about more comfortable homes today, air quality, electrification. And so first I want to go over what is BayREN. It is a program that is actually funded by PG&E customers. A small portion of the bill goes to something called the Ratepayer Fund, and that helps to fund these incentives or BayREN incentives, this service, energy advising, and many other programs as well. It's been around for quite a while now, I think about 8 years, and it's custom built for the Bay Area's climate. So, the incentives really reflect that. All right, so these are some of the very common issues people have in their homes as far as heating or as far as comfort. And there's some safety issues as well. But maybe your furnace runs too much. Maybe bringing your energy bills too high during the winter time, drafty rooms, hot and cold rooms. If you can hear, a lot of outside noise, street noise, that may be an indication that you don't have very good wall insulation. Or maybe other things as well. So that's kind of a clue that you might need some help there. And even heating and cooling. So this could be an indication that you have, there may be something wrong with your duct system. It maybe has a lot of leakage in it, and the air is not reaching perhaps those remote rooms, the far bedroom, for example. So this can be an issue. Mold and mildew. It's interesting because a lot of energy efficiency are, issues within the home. They go hand in hand with safety and air quality. So if you improve your building shell and do some upgrades to it, make it more comfortable, it's very likely that it will help with any air quality, especially mold and mildew type of concerns as well. Maybe the room over the garage is getting hotter, too hot or too cold. There's too much communication between those areas. And then cold floors, this is a very common one. And maybe, many people feel that if they get floor insulation, that may remedy that situation. But we'll go over a little bit later why it may be something else. And you may be able to fix it a bit easier. All right. So indoor air quality issues. That's interesting. I'm sorry, I'm not sure why. Oh, sorry about that. So indoor air quality issues. Poor air quality due to wildfires. This has been something that has been a very, hot topic the last few years. I know me and my family a few years ago were having to leave the Bay Area during these, fire seasons. It was so bad and it was so constant. So we ended up this was the main reason I ended up air sealing my area better. And it's definitely improved since that air sealing happened, but this has been a big concern. Breathing air from dirty parts of the home. This may be, your attic or your crawl space, or the interstitial space of your home. You don't want to be pulling air in from those areas and then breathing it. Natural gas appliances can contribute to poor air quality. Natural gas leaks, carbon monoxide, other dangerous gases. And again, mold and mildew can be caused by maybe lack of insulation, lack of air sealing. And, especially since the pandemic started, we have been spending a lot of time in our homes, maybe even more time than before. Maybe people aren't leaving their homes at all very much anymore because they can work from home in some cases. So it's more important than ever to make your home, as comfortable as you can and as safe as you can as well. And then children are sometimes a factor. And of course they have smaller lungs, smaller bodies, and are more susceptible to these types of air quality concerns. Studies of comprehensive energy, health, and safety retrofit programs found that for children with asthma, hospital admissions fell by nearly 85% and emergency visits by 68% a year after the upgrade. So this is huge. This is a really big deal here. All right. So you may know what you want to do with your home. Maybe your furnace is really old and possibly even unsafe at this point. Or you just have other, maybe appliances that you need to replace. But there are ways to diagnose what's going on with your home. You can talk to us. We can help you as much as we can over the phone, help you to troubleshoot. We have, energy advising calls where we go over all the symptoms of your home and try to help you to find out what your priorities are. If you want something more, scientific and just have some real data to work with, you can get actual diagnostic testing on your home. You can have these private companies come to your house. Many times contractors can do these tests as well, but they'll come to your home. They will, do quite a few testing. This is an example of two of the tests. The one on the left is a duct blasting test. And it, will typically, they'll isolate your duct system, pressurize it, and see, how much leakage it is producing. And many times I used to actually do a lot of this testing, and it's very common to have, 30, sometimes even 40% duct leakage. So as you can imagine, that's a lot of energy that is wasted. Then the test on the right, you'll see this is a blower door test, and does the same thing, but just for your building shell. So they will depressurize your home and be able to tell you how many air exchanges, how many times the air is exchanging with the outside, which can be very helpful. You don't want your house too leaky, but you also don't want it too tight. So there's kind of a sweet spot, and they can help you to make sure you're in that range. All right, I love this diagram. It depicts really well what is going on in your home as air moves through it. So as you can see, the red arrows at the top where the attic floor would be, that's depicting warm air, say it's wintertime maybe. And so you have your furnace on, all that warm air is rising, maybe it's escaping out into the walls of your home and shooting right up and out of these penetrations in the attic floor. And these penetrations could be, bypasses for plumbing, electrical, things like that. So there's all these 1 inch, 2 inch holes everywhere. And the air will leave out of those holes. And now the home is has negative pressure. It's wanting to equalize again. So your home will then pull in more air from maybe your crawl space or the windows, and possibly, areas that you really don't want them from, especially the crawl space. Windows, at least you're getting, hopefully fresh air, but And so but that may be a reason why if your windows feel drafty, if you seal up that top plate of your home, you can stop that or slow down that cycle. So you won't feel the air coming in as much through, drafty windows, and it won't be as much of a symptom anymore. So simply air sealing that top plate is, ideally, if you have a crawl space, air sealing the bottom as well can be a really effective and cost-effective way to make a big difference in your home. And here they are. The picture on the right is, them using those air blockage materials to seal up your attic floor. All right, here are some examples. You may have insulation in your home and feel like that you're good in that, that area. But here are some examples of some insulation that is not performing very well anymore. It looks like in this first picture on the left, looks like floor insulation, and it's falling down, as it will over the years. The middle picture here, it looks like maybe somebody had some work done in their attic and the insulation was moved out of the way. And now, there's a big weak point in there. This, air, it really reduces the R value, which is how we rate insulation. And air will find the path of least resistance. So if you have weak points like this, your warm air will be leaving the home. And then on the right, you have some nice fluffy insulation. It may look good at first glance, but there are a lot of peaks and valleys, again, weak points in there. You want it to look all uniform in order for it to be as effective as possible. All right, and here we have some ducts. These are some examples of how we can, or even if you have access to see your duct system, you can kind of see, if there's damage, you can kind of see if there's leakage a little bit. It won't be, very accurate, of course, without a test. But in this first picture here, it looks like there is some rodent damage, perhaps. And I'm not sure what that material is that's being used. It might be duct tape, which would be interesting. Duct tape is not actually a good material to use on ducts, so I'm not sure where that name came from. But in the middle picture, there is you can see that there's leakage. If you see that dirty ring, I think they call it. I'm having a brain fart. I think it's called ring around the collar. Maybe, I'm not sure. But it's a pretty good indication that you have some major leakage there. As air is running through that duct run, it's pulling in air from, the crawl space or the basement, and that's why it's looking dirty on that insulation. So, and the insulation will filter some of that dirt out, but it's not an air barrier, so you will be getting dirty particles from your basement into your home through that opening. And then here on the right, it's shows a contractor using some good materials for duct systems. It looks like mastic. It's this lovely goopy stuff. That's a really good material that they seal ducts with these days. All right, water heaters and furnaces. So these might look really familiar to some of you. This is a pretty standard, on the left, natural gas tank water heater. And on the right, we have a furnace. It's probably 80% efficient. Both of these appliances, if you look at the top of that water heater, there's an opening, and that the water heater will use that opening to pull air into it for combustion. But it is potentially dangerous. If that water heater isn't venting properly, then it could be backdrafting, combustion gases back into the living space or back into your garage. So it can be a potentially very dangerous situation. And this is something that I've also tested a lot in the past, and there's been some pretty scary situations. And people don't know. And then it also damages the water heater as well. The same thing with this furnace over here. It does have an opening that can backdraft gases into your home. So that can contribute to poor air quality. All right, here is some testers that are testing. Looks like they're testing the furnace, testing the water heater. This is how they can tell if your water heater is venting properly, and that it's safe. They will also test your gas stove. If any remaining gas appliances in the house after the work is done, those will be tested. So the gas stove, you know, those tend to be pretty dirty. Again, I've tested a lot of these. They usually reach the safe limit, but if the EPA was in your home and they were testing the air, they would tell you that it was unsafe at unsafe levels. So, and many people use their stove every day. So it's just something to think about. Over here, you can see an induction on the right, the picture on the right, an induction cooktop, and we'll go over those a bit later as well. All right, so here are some electrification or electric appliances that you may replace your gas appliances with. We have a heat pump water heater. We have a ductless mini split at the top middle picture. Those you can get mini splits that are ducted and ducted mini split, central heat pump system. So you don't have to if you don't want something visible on the wall, there are ducted versions as well. Then we have a heat pump dryer and an induction cooktop. So those are some major appliances that you can replace with electric. Now we'll go over heat pumps a little bit because that is such kind of a big topic right now. A lot of people in the Bay Area are moving over to heat pump systems. And if you haven't heard of them or if you're not familiar with them, they've been around a long time. The technology has been around a long time. Your refrigerator is actually a heat pump system. It is, it's instead of many people think their food is being cooled somehow, but what's actually happening is the heat pump in the refrigerator is pumping the heat from inside of that box to the outside. So that's why you may feel, right outside of your refrigerator, it feels warm. That's why it's just transferring heat. So yes, they've been around for years and years, and they've only gotten more efficient over the years. Again, this is an induction cooktop. Benefit here, big benefit is you won't be cooking as long. You won't be spending as much time cooking. And that is why, one of the big reasons it's so efficient. If you're boiling a pot of water, it may take 30 seconds, a minute, and you're already there. So it's very efficient in that way. It's also safe. Once you take the pot off of the stovetop, it'll turn off by itself. So that's a safety measure. And many people worry about, because those electric coil cooktops, many people who really love to cook they feel like it heats very unevenly, and they hate cooking on them. I do my, I'm not a chef, but I do my fair share of cooking. And I have one of these that even it cooks much more evenly than those coils will. So I don't think that's as much of an issue here. All right, and then we have a heat pump clothes dryer, and same thing, you're just transferring heat instead of this unit having to create its own heat. It's just transferring, which is why one of the reasons it's so efficient. This is an example of a ductless mini split. Now, if you see those refrigerant lines, those are actually outside. You won't see those indoors. You'll just see that unit at the top. But then again, there are ducted versions as well that you can look into. And these heat pump systems, they heat and they cool. So you get both. You won't have to get a furnace and an AC. You can just get this unit and it will do your heating and cooling for you. All right, where do I start? This is a question I get a lot. This is the most common question. People just are unsure of what their first steps should look like. So you can talk with us, and we can, you can give us a call. We'll give you some links in a bit. You can also go straight to a contractor. If you would like a BayREN rebate for some of the work you're doing, then you would work with a BayREN participating contractor. They are specially trained in building performance. BayREN vets them. There's quality control involved, so random quality control checks on the jobs. Safety testing is required, like we talked about before. And then they handle all the paperwork for you. So you won't have to submit that application. The contractor will do that for you, which is a big, these projects can get pretty overwhelming. So that can be a big help. And then there's also complementary programs. So these are energy advisors. Usually we deal mostly with BayREN, the BayREN program. If you do have some questions that aren't covered by BayREN, then we can help to, give you resources for other programs, perhaps. Maybe you're interested in solar, or maybe you're interested in Windows. So there are, resources that we could pull together for you. I like to think of the energy advising service as kind of a one-stop shop. So if you don't know where to start, go ahead and give us a call. We are, third party, independent. We'll give you unbiased advice. And then we can also help you to find a participating contractor that would fit your needs and seems like it would be a good fit for the projects you're planning. And again, we can refer you to complementary programs as well. This here is, we'll share the link in the chat box, but this is how you can contact an energy advisor or make a 15 or 30 minute appointment with one. You'll go to this link, and you at your convenience, you can choose a spot that would work for you for a quick call or a long call. Whatever you need to talk about, we can go over it. And then here again is the number if you want to call directly to the BayREN advising service, and you can email as well. We'll also share those again in the chat if, later on. All right. So David Hamburger, he is a contractor in San Francisco. He's, he's worked with BayREN for many years now, and he'll go ahead and take over.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, sorry about that. Trying to gain control of my own computer. Thanks so much, Kimberly. So I have a little slideshow here. Looks like did somebody queued it up already, or should I share my screen?
Go ahead and share your screen.
Okay, I'll do that. Okay. Can everybody see my screen? No.
No, not yet.
Okay, I think I need to hit a button, share screen. I apologize. This is my first time trying to share my screen on Zoom, so thank you.
All right, we can see it. Thank you.
Okay, all right. So my name is David Hamburger. I am a contractor in San Francisco that specializes in energy upgrade work, which consists of heating, cooling, insulation, and water heaters. I'm going to talk a little about San Francisco homes. Most of the homes are built between 1900 and the 1950s. So it makes it a unique building stock. And in terms of, there's no, it was built pre-energy code. So they're very beautiful, Victorian here, but they lack insulation. Since there was no energy code, there was no energy features in mind. So there's a lot of unique homes, a lot of unique air leaks, a lot of unique heating and cooling systems, but it gives a lot of great opportunity to improve them. Here's a classic one from like 1930s, single family home, probably not insulated, and lots of opportunity here. So yeah, so a lot of these homes have things in common, like outdated heating cooling systems, comfort issues, because there was no energy features built into the home. Just going to talk about a couple homes that we worked on real quickly. Here's a story of a home in like Rhode Island. I guess that's like the Potrero area. The home was built in 1909, about 1,900 square feet, 3-bedroom, 2-bath. When we came to the residence, all they had was a floor heater. That's what you see there on the right side. So that's how they was heating the home. No insulation, not a whole lot going on. So they called us initially for insulation, and then while we were there, they said they talked to another HVAC contractor that told them that there wasn't any good heating cooling options for them. And then I told him about a heat pump, and so that opened the door to that there was an option to heat and cool his home. So he was really happy about that. So he decided to do some installation with us. We installed a series of different types of heat pumps in the home, and his name is Javier. He has a quick little note here. He was basically really happy. One quote I'll read off was, "Winters downstairs and summer in the attic are no longer to be feared." So we are really happy with our decision. So that's the power of insulation and a nice heating cooling system. So there is a way to modernize and make these these older homes built in the early 1900s more comfortable, more energy efficient, and so they actually go quite well as long as we look at all the opportunities available. Here's another classic 1900s apartment building. This is just one of the there's probably 10-unit building. And this was a guy who came to us and he wanted to electrify his apartment. And he had as you can see on the right side, he had just a gas wall heater that heated one room. And so he was on the top floor, and he also had some comfort issues up there. And so we added attic insulation and a heat pump for him and an induction stove. And so he was really happy. So he was completely off of natural gas, and he was more comfortable. So he was really happy. And moving on to another case study. This home, another one in the Potrero area. This home was built in 1927, about 2,300 square feet, 3-bedroom, 2-bath. This homeowner here, she wanted to electrify her home to get off of natural gas, and she wanted cooling, and she also wanted to add, she only had a wall heater down in her ADU, so we put in a 2-zone heat pump system to heat and cool her space, and she was able to have a thermostat downstairs in the ADU. So when she did have tenants there, that they can control themselves. And so she was really happy about that. And you can see a little graph of her utility bill, which made it very affordable as well. So there are also reasons why people will do these types of upgrades, for not just comfort, but also for the pocketbook. And then I'm just going to run through just a couple quick pictures. These were all taken in San Francisco. this is on the left side here, we have a high efficiency gas furnace that we installed. I think the old house had asbestos, so we had the asbestos removed, the old duct work, put in a new high efficiency furnace. We added a little attic insulation so we could make the furnace a little bit smaller. So it's able to, not use so much fuel when it's running. And we also put in a tankless water heater, which we did in conjunction with the room model they were doing, that the general contractor was really happy about because they were able to save some room, which gave more room for this future bathroom that they put in. Here's just a couple pictures of attic insulation. Most of these homes here in the city don't have any attic insulation, so we always try to incorporate at least a little bit of attic insulation when we're doing some of this energy upgrade work. Here's a picture on the left of some floor insulation in San Francisco. It's just a nice, it'll really help, especially in the winter time. Not as much in the summertime, but definitely in the wintertime, it's going to help lower that heating load and how much that furnace needs to run. Here's another picture on the right of one of our technicians putting wall insulation in. We can actually do it by just drilling a small 2-inch hole, injecting it in. That's something we do a lot in San Francisco. So there's a lot of opportunity for that type of work. Moving on to water heaters, just going to show you a couple of pictures of some heat pump water heaters. These are ones we typically do a lot of. On the left side here, this is a Sanco unit. So it's a 2-part. So you have a storage tank on the left, and then you have the heat pump on the right. That's the most efficient, actually, heat pump on the market today. It's very quiet, and that's definitely probably our best-selling heat pump water heater for the electric models. And then on the right, that's a hybrid heat pump water heater. We do a lot of these as well. This is the Rude model, and it's a nice all-electric solution for your water. And they call it hybrid because there's electric resistance and a heat pump as well, so they can, depending on the demand, it can use both. So that's why they refer to it as hybrid. And I think that's about it. So yeah, thank you for your time, and on to the next presenter. All right, who's presenting next?
All right, if we can have Darren talk a bit about your experience as a homeowner participating in the program.
Okay, can everyone see and hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Hey, thanks. My name is Darren Chang. I just want to thank BayREN for Dave for inviting me to share my experience, with upgrading our HVAC. Good seeing you again, Dave. So my story goes like this. My wife and I, we live in the Richmond district in San Francisco. And kind of like Dave, it's a really old home. It was built in 1913. And we were very happy to get the house, right? We're very well maintained by previous owners. It wasn't a new development, but then the owners did a good job of keeping it. And we sort of just took on whatever furnace that they had and whatever HVAC they had in the house. So when we moved in, I think it was October of 2019, that led right into the first winter. And sorry, backing up a little, we never thought much about the HVAC, right? When you move into a new home, all you are concerned about is like, do you like the neighborhood? Do you have a nice kitchen? is it clean? That sort of stuff. And we never thought much about the HVAC, and we thought like, it's working, don't worry about it, right? Then came the summer of 2019, we realized, holy cows, like we really need to do something about this. The HVAC, I think, was around 25 years old, right? Although it was still working, it obviously wasn't working very efficiently. And, there was a weird smell whenever we ran the heater. Even though ducts were going into the room, there was no heat pushing out. It was very uneven. There was noise, there was a weird smell. So after riding out this summer, we said, we really need to do something. And then that's where we called a couple of contractors, including Dave. And then they came out and did a lot of the tests that Kimberly went through and just presented a lot of options to us. And for us, we just bought the home, so we weren't looking to make a really huge investment. You can really go as far as like digging up the whole house and redoing all the ducts. I think what Dave presented to us was some pretty simple options. I thought that was pretty minimally intrusive, right? That we obviously changed up the furnace. We, redid some of the duct work, working within the existing shell that we had, and we insulated the attic. And, we were really surprised by just what we think were pretty minor changes, how much it made our house a lot more comfortable, right? That all these problems that we have sort of just went away, right? And could it be better? Sure, but we weren't really gonna make that investment at that time, especially when we're in a COVID situation and we didn't want somebody in our house, tearing up the walls for a month or so, right? But yeah, looking back at it, we're obviously super happy with the way that we're at. We're really comfortable in the house. From a cost standpoint, the rebates that were being offered was very generous. Right? I think it equated to about 20% of the work that Dave did. And, I think anyone considering it, I highly recommend that you go through the process, especially now, right? We're spending so much time at home that it's not just about the energy, but, I think what Dave really pointed out in our process that ultimately you want to feel comfortable in the house, and that if you're constantly feeling like you're bundled up or you don't want to, spend time in this particular room, then there's no point in living in the house, right? Ultimately it's all about just being comfortable. And looking back at it, and as I was preparing for this too, I think our energy consumption is down by about 5% year over year. So I know that doesn't seem like a lot, but when you consider that we're in the house all the time now, right? That, we're working from home and we don't go out as much, that's a pretty significant savings. And like I said, we also feel good about, just feeling comfortable in the house. And more importantly, we have a 5-year-old in the house, and knowing that, we're doing something a lot cleaner, a lot safer for the environment, and kind of made that investment long-term, we're super happy with what we did, and really do appreciate what, the work that Dave's team did for us.
All right, thank you so much, Darren,
Sure.
and our other speakers. So that wraps up our content for today. But if anyone has any questions for any of our speakers, please go ahead and put them in the Q&A box. And we'll give you a few minutes to do that if you have any questions that we can answer. And I'll send a follow-up email to everyone who registered. You'll get David's contact information if you want to contact him directly, the link to schedule time with the advisors, which I also put in chat, and then the link to the recording of this webinar. But thank you all for joining. All right, well, it doesn't look like we're getting any questions, so it looks like everything was covered very thoroughly. So I think we can wrap up now.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.